Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to my channel. I'm Lorena Creel, and of course, with me is my wing woman, of positive fandom and the Bird Network. How are you doing, my dear?
I'm doing great, Lorena. It is such a wonderful early summer evening. Excited for some outer space action.
Oh, yes, I am so excited about seeing this film. Not gonna lie, okay, the first time that I saw it, I did fall asleep because I was young, I was little, but my dad was like stoked that Star Trek had like a motion picture, and I'm just like, when does this movie pick up? But as the years have passed and there were more Star Trek movies, especially Star Trek 2, The Wrath of Khan, and got to meet some of the actors. This I think it's going to be really interesting watching this movie again. I don't think I have seen it in about, oh man, I'm embarrassed to say how long I've how long I've seen it. It's probably been like maybe 20 years
What?
since I've
What?
yeah, because what I would do is I would go back, and if I was watching a Star Trek movie, I was usually always watching Star Trek 2, The Wrath of Khan, and The Voyage Home. Like I absolutely love those two, especially The Wrath of Khan. That was like my go-to. But this one, it was like, eh, eh, it's okay. It's
Ah,
okay. So I'm looking forward to looking back. When was the last time you saw this movie?
Um, I think I saw it a few weeks ago because I just wanted to watch it, and I watched it at home, and um, yeah, I part of the reason why I watched it, Lorena, was because Fandango was showing The Wrath of Khan in the theater. And I wanted to
Okay.
see the first one, before I went to go see Wrath of Khan. So I
Mhm.
watched the first film and then Wrath of Khan in the theater. And, I kind of, it's not absolutely essential to do that, but that's what I wanted to do. So I did. And then I continued on to watch the next one, the whole series. But that was a while ago. It was a while ago. It was last year.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I feel like a really sucky Star Trek fan now. It's been so long since I've seen this, but I'm so excited. So glad you got to see Star Trek Wrath of Khan in the theater. I'm a little jealous. I'm
Well, it'll
jealous of
come
that.
back, Lorena. They're going to bring it back. There's going to be more Fandango events like that. So have no fear. It will be back.
Oh, yes, and I will not miss getting tickets this time for sure. So, folks, let's see who we have in the chat. We've got Jerry Minoza who's like, "Yep, that's because I said, welcome to the watch party, everyone. V'ger requires the information."
I love it.
Blew my mind when we found out who
Right.
V'ger was in this movie. So good to see you, Jerry Minoza. And Mark Daly says, "This is, in my opinion, the weakest of the classic Trek films, yet still head and shoulders above anything modern cinema has to offer." And that's why I kind of like going back and looking at these movies, because at the time it was a big budget, but by today's standards, it's like minuscule indie budget, and just amazing what they were able to put together. Note the similarities between Decker and Ilya and Troy and Riker. I will. And Dylan C is here, says, "Hey, Lorena." And hey, her
Hi.
Kay. I hear Mr. McAfee saying that. Loved him. But when are we doing a con watch party? Funny you should mention that.
I think that's going to be
Let's see. It is going to be actually. I have to look at my calendar. July 15th is what I'm aiming for Star Trek 2, The Wrath of Khan. So make sure you have your notifications on so you can see. So you know we cannot watch this movie and not follow it up with the Wrath of Khan for real.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Hey, Dara says it is essential to watch Wrath of Khan in the theater when able. I have never seen it in the theater. I've only seen it on home video. So, uh, I would love to. I see it in a theater. Oh my gosh, I would love, love, love
They
to
will.
see it.
They're going to bring it back, Lorena. They're going to bring back Wrath of Khan. They're going to bring back the original, this movie. All of these will keep being shown in the theater. So have no fear. An event will come to you. It'll be probably Fandango or something like that. And it was very different experience, Lorena, to see it in the theater. And, originally I hadn't seen these 80s films in the theater. I'd never seen any of the Star Trek films in the theater, only the 90s ones, when I was kind of like old enough to go to the movies. The,
Hmm.
the Next Generation ones, I saw all those in the movie.
Yeah, I did too. Next Gen, I saw in the theater,
Yeah.
but the OG ones I hadn't seen like
Mhm.
in the theater. Man, that Enterprise D crash went on forever.
I
Lord, I
know.
aged during that.
I know. And I love Generations. I love the Nexus. I want to find that Nexus. I know it exists.
Let's find the Nexus.
Mhm.
And Don Lewis, hello, hello. So Star Trek the Motion Picture is vastly superior to anything produced by Kurtzman and his Borg drones.
Mm.
Ah, I think he got producer credit on Picard. So I'll take Picard out of the season, the last season, season 3, Picard, I'll take that out of the mix and say, yes, when it comes to this, but you got to remember it's a different time. Gene Roddenberry was alive and had his hands in in all of this. And actually speaking, I have to show these really quick. It's like I always got darn swag and stuff. So let me show you guys. We're gonna get started in a minute. So please do get your digital copies ready. I have is it upside down? DeForest Kelley. So
Mm.
I saw him. Oh my God, he was so funny. He was so funny. I was in the front row and at one convention, I think it was in California, and he was just cracking these jokes and he was laughing at me and my friends because we were just in stitch. And he's like, "Hey, I can make pretty girls laugh. This is great." And of course, I got Leonard Nimoy too. This is my favorite incarnation of Spock is Mirror Spock.
Mhm.
Love this.
Mhm.
Uh, I'm telling you, digging all that stuff out of the storage unit. I'm just like some of these folks that just they passed on. So I'm so glad we have this to uh to remember them by. Con watch party a week after my birthday. Thank you. You are welcome. This year, Shatner was in Detroit hosting a screening of The Wrath of Khan. I did not find out until 2 days after it was over. I was bummed for several days. Mostly it sold out quick anyway. Oh, I believe it. I totally believe it. That is like the goat of Star Trek movies is Star Trek
Mhm.
2, The Wrath of Khan.
Yes.
I Yeah. Barryon says, I love the new Enterprise. It looked gorgeous. Beautiful ship. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful ship. And Mark Daly says, man, in my days, DeForest Kelley was the only classic Trek photo I didn't get. Oh man. Uh
Yeah.
uh yeah, I lucked out. Well, we'll
Mhm.
say blessed that I got to do that. I was broke graduate student, friends of mine, we all pooled our money together and we said we're getting tickets. So as soon as Creation had their Four Captains event, we went and got tickets. But man, it was hard saving up money for that. But I think at that time, yeah, I think we had like I had like not that much money, and I had to say, who did I need to get autographs from? Of course, it was James Doohan and DeForest Kelley. Leonard Nimoy's I got later. I couldn't afford William Shatner's at the time, but I got his at a later date. Okay, folks, so are we ready to start? You got 16 of you folks in here, gave you enough time to get settled in. We are actually watching the director's edition of Star Trek, the motion picture. We
Yes.
are watching the version over on Paramount Plus. So if you have the director's edition, um, fire that sucker up. If you do not have the director's edition, no worries. We'll make note of it in the chat. And of course, we got the timer here. We got the timer here, so you guys can sync up with us. And I literally, why did I lose my screen? Okay, I didn't lose my screen. But before I get started, we are all Devo. Thank you so much for that $20 super chat.
Yeah.
I hope you didn't mean to send it blank, but if you did, that's okay. That's cool too. Just thank you. Thank
Mhm.
you so much for your support of the channel. It just blows my mind how generous people are. So we are all Devo. Thank you for the $20. Thank you for that avatar, because
Mhm.
Devo was one of those iconic 80s bands. I heard "Whip It" as soon as I saw that. So thank
Mhm.
you so very much for that $20 super chat, my dear. I appreciate it so
Yes.
very much. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mhm.
All right, folks, let's go ahead and hit the button.
Yes.
And we are starting in three, two, and one.
All
Let's
right.
start.
Do this.
Oh, this version is 2 hours, 16 minutes, and 43 seconds. So
Mhm.
just to let you guys know ahead of time. James Doohan was hilarious, drained a pint of scotch while signing autographs and flirted with every girl, including my girlfriend. That sounds like James Doohan. James Doohan is like that crazy drunk uncle at parties. He has no filter, and he is just a barrel of laughs. He's so much fun. Have you seen him before at
No, I mean,
convention?
no, that sounds like somebody I want to sit next to at a party.
Yeah, he was fun. And it was kind of sad, you know, because later on in life he was suffering from dementia, and
Mhm.
he would get off topic, and Nichelle Nichols would kind of like tap him and kind of get him back on it. It was just, I can't even explain how wonderful it was to see that, and how wonderful the cast just like cared for each other. Let's see. We Are All Devo says, I got to see the motion picture and Wrath of Khan at the first showings at my local theater. What an emotional experience.
Mm.
Oh, I'm jealous.
Mhm.
I, I am really, I'm really jealous. Granted, when, I was younger, I just got to see it like on DVD, and that was like DVD and VHS, and that was like it. Because my parents couldn't really afford to take us to the movie theater all the time. So that's what we did. And I was like, wow, it'd be so cool to see it. Can you imagine watching that in IMAX?
Oh man. Wow.
I hope Paramount, I hope y'all are on that. Hello, Deranged Lunatic says, hello, lovely ladies.
Hey.
Well, hello, Deranged Lunatic. Always a pleasure seeing you. Thank you for being here. We got William Shatner, we've got Leonard Nimoy, we've got DeForest Kelley,
Hmm?
co-starring James Doohan, George Takei, Walter Koenig, Nichelle Nichols, and Majel Barrett. Persis Khambatta. Now that's who I remember the most from this film, because in the I think it was the director's notes. I saw it somewhere where they were like, well, how should we picture her? And having her just like completely bald gave like this alien kind of aspect
Yes,
to her character. And I just thought it was just amazing because she just looked so exotic, and I love how they went with that.
absolutely. She was very exotic in this, and she came across that way. She was very special, and I think she was perfectly cast for this film.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Saw him at a second con near the end. Walter Koenig led him on and off the stage. Yeah, at that point in time, when the dementia got really bad for James Doohan, I saw that a lot at conventions, and people would tell the same stories. They were just like, the cast kind of kept a closer eye on him, like helped him on, helped him off the stage. When he got kind of confused about things, they just kind of like, just kind of like gently corrected him. And us in the convention audience, we didn't care. We were just like, yeah, we just want to keep hearing what he said, and we just thought it was like watching your grandparents.
Hmm.
Bill Shatner's Twilight Zone episode is excellent. Yes. Yes. I love the old school Twilight Zone. That's some good stuff. And that Bill Shatner episode of the Twilight Zone has been spoofed so many times with, the gremlin on the wing of the airplane.
Hmm.
And the Klingons looking like um looking like the incarnation of the Klingons that we know, but as compared to the original series, it was more just skin paint, but with like with the prosthetics and everything. The Klingons, to me, I always thought these were the Klingons look like until I saw the original series.
Yes, me too.
I was playing and I have no idea how wrong they are without Torpedo. Persis had thick, beautiful hair. She shaved it off for the part. Man.
Yeah, she did have beautiful hair, and I'm sure it grew back, but it was
Mm-hmm.
quite dramatic. And everybody talked about her doing that, and was she all right with it? And
Mm-hmm.
it did get a lot of attention in the press. I was just a kid when this film came out, probably like maybe, I don't know, maybe seven or eight. So,
Mm-hmm.
but I remember the magazine articles and my mother reading the article about it, and it did feel very odd at the time.
Yeah,
If
it
you're not
did.
accustomed to shaving your head, like if that wasn't
Mm-hmm.
something that you were accustomed to doing.
Exactly. Yeah, especially having a woman do
Yes,
that,
yes.
for a role. Mark Daly says one of those Klingons was paged by Mark Leonard. Oh, okay. See, this is why I love having Trek fans in the audience, especially those of you who watched the original series when it was airing on television.
Yeah.
You guys have some great information. We Are All Devo says Jimmy Doohan lived in Auburn, Washington, and did all of our local Seattle conventions. He was a joy to talk to. He always remembered my name, that he is why I became an engineer. You know what, dude? You and me both When
Wow.
I was in college in engineering, so many people were like, yeah, Mr. Scott could do everything. How would Mr. Scott approach this problem? And I think that was the thing. Actually, people would come up in conventions and tell him about that. He would visit like engineering colleges, like departments of engineering, and they would give him like honorary degrees and everything. So, like from my generation, Mr. Scott was, you know, the engineer,
Right, right.
which is why I like Simon Pegg's version of Scotty too.
I did like his role in that. I think he did a very, very good job.
I do too. She was in Nighthawks with Stallone. Oh, okay. I didn't know that. It's like now Klingon bird of prey gets taken out. You know something is up, and you listen to the music. Well, that's not good.
No.
Mark Leonard, Spock's dad. Yes, because didn't he have was it Bandai syndrome? It was something that Spock's father had, and he couldn't do the negotiations because he was suffering from it. And he did a mind meld with Picard. Oh, that was so sad. Colinar. I love this.
Yeah, it looks so good.
I mean, practical effects. Please tell me in the chat that there is a 4K version of this because I need it. I'm getting a 4Play DVD, 4K DVD player.
Wow. And
Attainment
the way
of
she says
cool.
Kolinar.
Mm-hmm. Colinar.
Kolinar.
Colinar. Prove yourself worthy to receive from us the symbol of pure logic.
Mhm,
That's why Pon Far was such a trip to watch
mhm.
because I just lost it. Is it the director's cut that just came out this year in 4K? Yeah, I'm not sure.
Oh, is it? Is
That's
that what we're
I
watching?
don't know. That's why I was asking.
I should know this. We should know this,
Yeah,
right?
we should know this. I feel embarrassed. I didn't know this.
I'm sure Robert has mentioned this more than once.
Hmm. My mind to your mind, my thoughts to your thoughts. And sometimes you've been like, okay, we need Spock to do a freaking mind meld right now for these people.
Mhm.
Tell us what we need to know. Picard's mind meld with Sarek made his meeting with Spock's interesting years later. Oh, okay. And they were always giving him crap for his human blood.
Yeah, I know, right? Gosh.
Like, dang, y'all, for real? As I recall, in Star Trek Next Generation, Sarek was suffering from a kind of Alzheimer's. It was called, yeah, Bandai syndrome. I said Bandai. I
Mhm.
said, oh Lord, I said Bandai. That's a game company.
And he was an ambassador and had to go ahead and perform. Like,
Yes, and he couldn't do it without. It was like an admission of extreme weakness that he couldn't get a hold of his emotions.
and they wanted him. Like he was the only one who could really do it.
Hmm. We Are All Devo said this was originally in English, but they overdubbed it at the last minute, which is why Vulcan sounds a lot like English. Oh, okay. I like that scene.
I want to go there.
There, 70s in a bottle. You're getting like Logan's Run, Buck
Yep.
Rogers.
Mhm.
It's like now it's like that retro, feel that we like. There's a 4K version of Star Trek. Okay.
And Kirk still looked incredibly hot. He was doing was he doing what's the show he did in the
TJ
80s?
Hooker.
Yeah, was he doing it then?
I think he was doing TJ Hooker then.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, look at this.
I think he's in his 50s or almost 50. He
Mm-hmm.
looks good.
Yeah, I don't think he was wearing the girdle in this one.
No.
It's like, okay.
This is how it's going down.
Yeah. So, folks, we are at 14 minutes and 8 seconds, 9 seconds into Star Trek The Motion Picture. We are watching the director's edition of the film, which is going to have a couple extra scenes. But enjoy. Everyone should have when there's a director's cut, you grab that. You grab that director's cut. Don Lewis says James Doohan himself originally invented the Klingon language for this movie.
What?
I didn't know. Wow. That I didn't know. That is so cool.
I didn't know that either.
I would love to know how he came up with that. I mean, creating a new language, especially one that became so synonymous with Trek. That's your job, Scotty.
The Enterprise, of course.
Mm-hmm. He's like, all right. Now, for some reason, I remember this of them going to the Enterprise, and it was just the coolest thing.
Yeah, come on. He knows what he can do. Come on, this is Kirk. He can kick gas and do all sorts of cool stuff.
Gave her back, sir. Doohan did a lot of voice work for the animated series as well. Oh, okay. I didn't catch the animated series. I heard about it.
It's very similar to the original series. It looks exactly like it. You would like it if you like the original series.
Yeah, I've heard great things about it. I love this. Just the look on Kirk's face when he sees the Enterprise. It's beautiful. It is Jerry Mendoza. It is a beautiful ship. And think about all the people who, when the show ended after 3 years, to find out, I think because the show ended in what? Was it 71? No, wait, no. Star Trek premiered in 1966, right? I think 66 to 69. I'm guessing I wasn't born then, so I got to guess, and I totally forget. But just think, the show, they didn't think it was gonna come back. They got it back once with like a fan, campaign, but the show was over. Just to think the show was over, and the next thing you find out, there's a movie going on. So I think that's probably why the pacing is so much slower in this one, as opposed to the Wrath of Khan, which just punches you in the face from the beginning.
Exactly.
Even if the shuttle pod is ugly, it is. It is. It's ugly. It's like a beater car,
It looks like the little people toys or something.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of
Little
floating out
round part.
there.
You can put the round part in so he
Yeah.
fits.
And We're All Devo says Dewan did all the voice work on the animated series. Cheaper that way. Oh, wow.
I'm not surprised by that.
So talented. And just the camera focused on his face, on Kirk's face. And here we go.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful. Space Dock is gorgeous. That I will never tire of seeing the Enterprise in Space Dock. That is, oh, it's just gorgeous. Hey, Matt G.
Villages?
Oh, we have like a little member emoji that says straight out of the villages. It says straight out of Compton, straight out of villages. For my Florida show, because those senior citizens in the villages are gangster.
Yeah.
Real.
And they were alive when the original series came out.
Mm-hmm.
So they were the ones with the beehives and the mini skirts and all that good stuff.
And the killer sideburn.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, D Nice Gamer says, hail and hail her. Hello. Good to see you. Good to see all of you here. About 18 of you guys watching. Thank you so much for watching the director's cut of Star Trek The Motion Picture, which came out in 1979. And Captain Vader, yes, God bless you.
Thank you.
My memory's not that far gone yet. Original series ran from 1966 to 1969. Yeah, I didn't see it until the early 80s when it was running in syndication. Like I would see, let's say I'd watch Scooby-Doo, then Batman, Adam West version of a Batman, and then I think the Flintstones, and then they'd show Star Trek, the original series. It was one of the weirdest blocks, but I loved it.
I remember I'm Gonna Get You, Batman, with the kitten her.
Yes. I loved her, and just
she was
Adam West would see Catwoman, and he just he had it bad for her.
Yep, something going on there.
However, they did not use Chekhov, replacing him with a 3-armed alien. They also added a Catwoman to the cast. Okay, for the animated version. Okay. We all feel like the ship, like coming home to the Enterprise. And We're All Devo says, when the Enterprise inspection sequence happened, I was in tears by the end. The ship was so GD beautiful. It still tears me up. That's kind of how I felt in season 3 of Picard when they brought back the original Enterprise. That's how I felt. So I would say for my generation who grew up watching Next Gen, to fund the good old Enterprise D,
they went back and got the solstice piece. Thank God. And you also had the ship museum, so you got to see Voyager. You got to see I guess Enterprise. I don't know which one it was for yeah, all of them. The one from Enterprise, the show, and it was unbelievable what they did with that show. Like,
it was beautiful.
Which one would you choose?
I know that space dock was crazy. I loved that scene. Hey, Darth Plato, good to see you. And there's Nichelle Nichols. This is the part where I kind of perked up. I was like, oh, it's Black Lady on this ship.
Mm-hmm.
Because she had an afro like my aunt had. So
She looked. I don't know how old she is here, but she looks so sexy. It's
she
like.
does. There was just something about that 70s, just everybody had, like sexy on lock.
Mhm.
Oh, he doesn't know. Oh, they used the same footage for Wrath of Khan. They just cut it down to like 2 minutes. Oh, okay. Okay. That is good to know. Darkwing Duck, hello, my dear, says Constitution class is GOAT. Fight me later. Nah, I'm going to give you on that. I used to say, no, I didn't think so. But then the more I would see the Constellation class, it's just something about it.
I'll take any one of them.
Yeah, that's true too. Shoot. I'll jump in, take the con, let's go. That's why the Star Trek experience in Las Vegas when it was going on was so cool to just be able to like touch the set and go on the bridge. And I'm gonna have to tell this story later, but yes, I did get to visit TNG's bridge.
Wow.
Yeah, it was nuts. Admiral Nat G is another one of those lucky ones. I saw this in the theater last year.
See, they brought it
Y'all,
back.
y'all
It'll be back,
lucky.
Miranda.
Okay. Y'all gonna have to light up my social media and say, it's back, it's back. Go get your tickets. I will see it twice.
I'll look for Fandango because Fandango was the one that I saw that let me know. But also, my Regal Theaters app sometimes will let me know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Nice.
yeah. Let me just
Original models in the Smithsonian. Yes. I did know that. Oh, nice, Darth Plato. Very cool. Yeah, I'd take that personal too. We are all Devo. Oh, red. Oh, it's not good.
Yeah, this is sad.
And that red alert, that's what I use for when I'm baking, my cooking, and that's my timer.
They get your attention. Shoot.
Oh, yeah. I don't want to burn stuff. We Are All Devo says this movie is the only one that is 100% Gene. He wasn't entirely happy with the following movies.
Hmm.
Hmm. That's interesting.
That is interesting.
I wonder what it was. I'm especially curious about Wrath of Khan. What is it that he wasn't particularly happy with it? Oh, and folks, this is where we realize a transporter can go wrong.
Yes. It's absolutely terrifying.
Ouch, the teleported. Yep. Hey, Wes, how you doing? And yes, beaming failure.
Ugh. Ugh. So you don't want to be the next person in the transporter, do you?
No.
Screw
And I'm
that.
trying to remember which character in Star Trek was like, "Oh, I think I will need you to scatter my atoms across." No, or was it? No, I think it was Bones.
I
I
think it
think it
is.
was. Yeah. And it's like, why don't you just beam down? Why don't you just take a transporter? You think I want my atom? Thank you. I remember that. No wonder McCoy hates that thing. Scatter my atoms and cross the universe, and who knows what you could get back. Forget that.
It's funny because they have had issues with transporters, right?
Yes, the transporter is like, well, let's just say it's a vector that can be hacked.
Hmm.
Creative control was basically taken from Gene after this, and the studio said, "We have assumed control." Oh, okay, okay, I can understand that. I can understand that. And Wes says this movie gets too much hate, in my opinion. I know for me, it was really slow, but I was a kid, so I couldn't really appreciate it the way that I do now, seeing it. To see, especially since some of these actors have passed on, to go back and see them, when they were the way that a lot of us remember them. Yeah. Kirk is a jerk in this one. Yeah, we just saw that. Transporter officers, Kirk's former yeoman Rand. Okay. Okay. But Nick Meyer did a fantastic job. Yeah, I thought he did too.
Hmm.
Like I said, Rathacon is my absolute favorite. Kids who were my age were like, yeah, that Wrath of Khan movie was all that. Astronomical you wow. Darth Plato says the movie is a bit silly in how its military works. Admiral Kirk does not actually need to take command of the ship from Decker. Kirk does have OTC, officer in tactical command. Uh-oh. I think they're about to be assimilated. Wow. Similar problem in Doomsday Machine episode. Oh, okay. Turned inside out and then it exploded. Hey, Bonzo Kilborn. Come on, Dr. McCoy, live a little. McCoy's like, I'm not doing that.
Poor guy in the spacesuit, kind of trying to outrun the
He's
electrical.
running. Oh, you put it on, you still put it on if I need to sleep. It suffers from being compared to the other Trek movies, like being the least hot cheerleader. Which is true. Every time I think of Star Trek the motion picture, like, what's your favorite Star Trek movie? I'm like, Star Trek 2 Wrath of Khan. What about motion picture? It's all right.
It definitely was made in a different decade.
That's true. That's true. It was more. Oh, great. What did I just drop down here? I think I knocked over cookies. Uh, the audience, again, the show on television had ended, so it was about, I would say, a 10-year gap between when the original series ended and when this movie was created. So it's dragging out a lot of things to be able to see all the old characters and enjoy getting to see what the Enterprise looked like and the characters and the bridge. She's a Delton. Love Persis Khambatta. That's my girl. Hey, Heath's Geek Versus. Oh my God, Star Trek the Motion Picture. Doug and I did hours on this movie. I understand why people don't start with this one if they are introducing someone to Star Trek, but it's underrated and there's a lot to talk about here. If I
Mhm.
were going to be able to work on one of the Star Trek films, I think it might have been this one. It was crafted with a lot of love. Absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely. I'm sorry. I thought you were going to say something.
No, no, I think it's interesting. Heath is a huge Star Trek fan. And he's covered a lot of the films and had discussions about the films for hours and hours on his channel, and has visited the different places where you can go to the bridge on you can actually visit these different locations. Like there's one in upstate New York. There's one, I think, in I can't remember all the locations, but he goes to different places and visits the
Mhm.
bridges and everything. It's amazing what he does. So he's a huge Trekkie.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, this one it has a lot of love. I love McCoy's like, oh my God, my hair, my parts here. I love his neurosis about this. Dude looks like he's been living in like the mountains, like Duck Dynasty right now.
Mhm.
And he's
By
got the
himself.
gold medallion. God,
Mhm.
I love the 70s.
By himself, no one around. So it's like, did somebody? I don't have a phone. You couldn't
Yeah.
call me because I don't have a phone. Like
I'm off the grid, man.
that's right. Yes.
How'd you track me down? I love looking at this. Oh my God, it's like looking at my grandparents when they were younger. Oh, yeah, I'm one of those persons who I love action and I love conflict. So Wrath of Khan, I loved because for me, it's like you saw somebody who was just like, I freaking hate Captain Kirk. And it was like an allegory to the cool part of Moby Dick with how obsessed, Khan was with Kirk. Oh God, it was freaking great. It was great. Dyrus says the motion picture is pure, uncut, old school sci-fi Star Trek. Yes, it is. I remember that. My oath of celibacy is on record. I was like, "What's celibacy mean?"
I know it's on record, but it doesn't feel like she's been celibate. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't feel like she's been celibate. It feels like she's been getting it on with somebody, but she's got to let him know, look, I don't do that anymore. So,
it's it's like celibacy since when?
mhm. Yeah, she ain't celibate. So she's shooting off all sorts of, DTF vibes.
Mhm. This Darkwing Duck says this movie is actually more Star Trek than the others. It definitely has a distinctive feel. It definitely does. Damn it, Bones, you're my best friend. Welcome to the catastrophe. We are yeah, that's funny because it's just like the only person that could drag McCoy, out of the backwoods. He was probably happy being the backwoods country doctor, being paid in like
No
good food,
electricity, no running water.
no motor car, not a single luxury. It's just, man, if you weren't you, I'd be like, heck no, I'm not showing up. But yep, that's his boy. And Wes says those uniforms make it look like a pajama party.
It does. It reminds me of the Andromeda Strain, or
Yes.
Space 1999, or one of those things. And you, just like what you said, um uh Logan's Runs ish
Hmm.
style thing. Um but yes. They're very pastel-y, very.
That is a style of 70s sci-fi, just that sleek, you know, look to it. Ugh, it's just it's so distinctive. I love it. I love it. Planet Killer, hello, says, I'll tell you what Roddenberry would not have liked about the Wrath of Khan. Those hanging bodies Khan murdered in the terraformed base. That would have definitely cost them their G rating. Ah, that's a good point.
Mm.
That's a very good point. Although I will say that at least with these incarnations of Star Trek, when they showed violence, I mean, you could see that it was there. You could tell what was there, as opposed to how Kurtzman Trek has just had made it extremely graphic. Like I'd never had seen that ever before. This is the best Star Trek movie, in my humble opinion.
Aw.
I'll give folks a pass for liking this. Star Trek 2 is still my favorite. Wrath of Khan is still my favorite, but you will not get any hate from me if you say that you love this movie. Oh. Uh, hmm. Mark Daly says allegedly deltas emit pheromones, which makes them irresistible to humans. That's why they are mad. That's
I
what they.
actually think that's true of humans as well.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Interesting.
Humans.
I didn't know that. Hmm.
Yeah, and I don't buy that she's celibate for a second.
No.
She was doing
She's
something.
probably had her fingers crossed behind her back when she said
Mhm.
that.
She was doing something with that blonde haired guy, I'm sure of it.
We know. The way they looked at each other.
Mm.
Mm,
She's supposed to be telepathic, right?
I think so.
Mm-hmm.
I think so. Mark Daly says even the future isn't immune from bad 70s fashion. Like I said, every time I see this, I think of stuff that my grandparents would wear. Because when you go back and look at the old pictures, we're like, you dress like that on purpose?
It
I'm
does look
like,
very leisure suit ish.
yes, just like let it all hang out. Like I said, even seeing DeForest Kelley with the, with the, with the
Hair check,
trademark gold chain. Oh my
like
gosh.
like Tom Selleck or something, you know?
Yes.
Or not Tom Selleck, the other guy.
We Are All Devo says Gene told me he didn't like the military aspect of the Wrath of Khan. Okay,
Oh yeah,
yeah, I
yeah.
can see that.
Like the guy who
Nichols
was
is.
in.
Oh,
I'm
sorry. Go
sorry.
ahead, my dear. No,
No,
go ahead.
he reminds me of the guy who was in. He was famous in the 1970s. Not Tom Selleck, but the other one with the dark hair. I can't remember his name, but he was so popular. He did. I can't remember his name. Let me see if I can look it up.
Now
Killing.
I'm trying to think of which one it is.
You know who I'm talking about.
Yeah, I will. For some, it's like I can't think of it right now, but it'll hit me probably as soon as you tell me.
Yeah, it will. Let's see if I can get his name out
I
here.
love the distortion in this as
Yes.
they're going to warp. Just look at what they did with the practical effects. Everybody lean to the right,
Yeah.
lean to the left. They would do that at conventions. They're like, we'd go like this,
Mhm.
everybody lean right, everybody lean left.
He was like season 2 or 3 of The Next Generation when they finally got the platform that moved, or maybe it was in the movie by the time they were making the films. But what is the name of that movie?
I love the distortion.
Burt Reynolds.
Oh, okay. Okay,
He's got that
Bert.
Burt Reynolds 1970s look.
Kirk with just McCoy as his conscience is half his real friendship. Yeah, I've heard that too, Mark Daly, about debating whether Star Trek is or isn't military. From what I heard, it's not military, but has military aspects. See, this is what you do. So they're trying to make the jump to warp speed from the solar system where they are, and it's causing all this distortion, and they're about to impact with the bogey. So I can see why they probably took this. I don't know if this part was in the director's cut, and they just fired that torpedo. All right, trying to follow along with the non-director's cut, doing okay for now. Torpedo. Yeah, I haven't seen this is my first time seeing the director's cut. So for those of you who have seen the director's cut, if you could give me a heads up as to if the part is in or isn't in a director's cut, that'd be great. So I can let folks know in here.
I've seen both movies, but I couldn't tell you what was or wasn't in it. Oh, what is Dylan say? Burt Reynolds, yeah.
Hmm. That makes sense. Yes, Darkwing Duck, we are watching the director's cut.
Mm-hmm.
Watching the director's cut. Told you so. This is the engineer thing. Don't put us. I'm trying to remember which movie it was when Scotty said he was going to have something done by a certain time, and someone kept going on to check, and Kirk's like, no, no, don't go down there. Do not interrupt him. Nichelle was sexy in everything she did. She was my first crush, and I was 7, for God's sake. She later called me honey at a convention. I loved her so much.
Aw.
She was so wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
She taught me how to pose for photos. I turned into a
Really?
complete fangirl, I guess. She's like, "You have to hold your head like this." See, she's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Oh, okay, 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 cool, cool, cool." I turned into a complete fangirl. Lord have mercy. Well, what do you expect?
So what?
Because Kirk had them do an action that caused the issue because of what the new ship was like. And technically that caused a problem. But Decker knew that you weren't supposed to do that. That's why he countermanded it. And he's like, "Why'd you do that? That would have worked." It's kind of like figuring out, stuff you can't do with the new software upgrade.
Yes.
But it's interesting, seeing that. It kind of reminds me in a way that scene in Picard season 3, where Picard was saying something about the undocking procedure, and Seven's like,
Brown
"It's okay, we don't
chicken, cow. Mm-hmm.
down, down, down.
Oh, hell yeah. You're
How
sorry that you
dare
left
you?
me?
Down, down. I wish they would have kept these torpedo effects. Oh, so they weren't in the director's in the regular theatrical cut?
I don't know.
Because I like those. That was cool.
Mm-hmm.
That was cool.
He has his hands on her body. Like that's not something you even do when you greet a friend normally. So
Mm-mm.
he's already like on her.
Like, hey, hey, girl.
Platonic. Yeah, right.
See, not Scotty, excuse me. Bones is used to telling Kurt the unvarnished, unfiltered truth because he is the one officer who can relieve the captain of duty. Oh, okay. So that's different. All right. All right. What idiot decided it was a good idea to light phasers and warp drive so when you lose one, you lose the other? I don't know. The redesign, the phasers were powered by the warp drive. So whatever made the engine not work faded the phasers too. That's what Decker knew. Dumb move. Phasers are powered by the warp drives. Oh god, that was dumb. Why do they not have
End up
separate power supplies?
losing the warp drive, so you can't escape. Go
Mm-hmm.
to warp, and then you don't have any phasers to defend yourself if you're in a spot, which is essentially what would happen.
Uh, what was that? Like a Windows 95 upgrade or something like that? In subsequent movies, I wish they'd kept using it. Oh, okay. Scotty was the one responsible for the redesign of the Enterprise. Hmm. So glad all of you are over here watching. Wow, this shuttle's kind of wild. Phasers don't work properly when the warp drive is engaged. Probably from all the power that's required to go to warp. So that does kind of make sense.
And is it
It's
because the phasers rely on more stability? You can't be traveling at warp and shoot a phaser because the phaser has to be at a certain wavelength. I don't know. I mean,
I think and it's been a while, but I think it has to do with how much power is required in order to go to warp. Like it doesn't take that much power to shoot a phaser, but to take a ship and all of its contents and modify it to go at warp speed, depending on which warp you're talking about. Because I think each warp is like light speed by a factor of two, I think. So doing all of that matter transformation to move to warp takes a ton of power. That's what I'm thinking. Why it can't shoot phasers, I don't know. It may have to be with the distortion that's going on because it's
that's what I
almost like
thought.
you're
Distortion would
distorting.
disrupt the phasers.
Yeah.
That's what I maybe both. Who knows?
God, that's such a nerdy ass question. I can't
It
believe
is
I
a
said
nerd
that.
question. We ought to be working on the Enterprise. That's what our calling was.
Yeah, light speed when you're going the speed of light. I mean, lots of warping going on,
Mhm.
there. All of that.
He's like, yeah, I don't want to talk about it. Okay.
Just put the engineer. Good to see you too, boy. Love that outfits. You're right about Aliyah. Remember, SAT analogies: Decker, Ilya, Riker, Troy. I've missed you, Imzadi.
Mhm. But Riker didn't. He wasn't touchy feely on Troy in front of him, like in the ship like that. It
Yeah.
was they were private that he might do something like that, but he wouldn't.
hmm
But it gets revisited with Picard season 3 and Worf,
hmm
like
Like
hilarious.
he's touching people. Oh.
Love it. I love it all.
Wes says, I like it when Bone says there is a casualty, my wits, as in I'm scared out of them. He has some of the best one-liners ever. Warp plus light speed. Okay, to the thirds. Yeah, I wasn't that far off. I was what? I'm so proud of myself.
Mm-hmm.
I have my Star Trek encyclopedia. I have to. two versions of it. I have to go
Now,
back and pore over those.
now we just need someone to invent this stuff so we can go on these trips.
Yes.
Come on, Elon Musk. You know what to do.
You know Elon's. He got people working on that. The phasers were linked to the warp drive to give them more power. Fine when it works, but when the warp drive malfunctioned, the phasers wouldn't work either. I wonder if that's something where Roddenberry kind of wrote himself into a corner because, they had the Star Trek Bible that no matter what you wrote had to adhere to the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
Sociable as ever. I love it when they just be talking smack each other. Roddenberry took the 70s jumpsuit idea to TNG as well. Cast did not like it, so they changed the uniform to a two-piece design. Yeah, I think didn't they try the jumpsuits again, more like coveralls in DS9?
I don't remember, but you're probably right.
I think the first season of DS9 they did, and then eventually they changed it. Dang, Shatner looks good.
I know. Right?
Damn, I love this movie.
Getting some TJ Hooker vibes.
Mm-hmm. Like, dang. I like the white.
He's got like a nice. He's got some nice. It's a form-fitting uniform, and it just like fits him in all the right places.
Oh my God, you got DeForest Kelley showing chest hair.
It's like that.
I like the white Love Boat style uniform. Can go to from a convention to a round of tennis without change.
That's right.
That's a good one. Unexpected fire.
Lorena,
like
you and I are poolside, and he's walking in, and we're like this with the sunglasses.
Mm-hmm. The Love Boat. Like, I forget which music video it was where all of them turn and all the ladies put their glasses down. Yes, DS9 uniforms were the best.
Mm-hmm.
Enterprise used them as well, but they were more modern work overalls you would have as a duty uniform for a mechanic. Oh, okay.
He even looks like he has a six-pack under there, like.
I know.
And he's 50, like he's almost 50 here.
Mm-hmm. DS9 did a great classic Trek tribute, Dax in the mini. Yes, in the mirror episode. No, not the mirror episode. There was one where they went back to the Enterprise. It's like the Tribbles episode. Yeah, I remember that.
It was Dax, the Doctor, Bashir, I think, and I can't remember who else, but it was nice to see them in those uniforms, and they were like, "What do we say?" Like it was, "How does it work?" Like using the old tricorders, and
they're like, well, don't you want to ask him about X, Y, and Z? And Cisco's like, of course I want to talk to, I want to talk to Kirk. I want to ask him about fighting the Gorn on Sisters 3, but we can't do that. Mm-hmm. William Ware did their uniforms. He also did Next Gen. Then Clear Minds took over. I can see it's that 70s fashion. Everybody just went, I don't know. It's like everybody just wanted to show what it was, as bad as it was.
I think there was no way out of the style for that time period. There was nothing else.
That was it.
It had to be polyester.
That polyester leisure suit looking thing. I mean, open shirts, sideburns, bell bottoms, all of that. Bill Shatner was running 5 miles a day for the motion picture. Okay, that makes sense because in the original series, they were kind of clowning him because he was gaining weight and actually had to put a girdle on him for a little bit. So if you go back and watch the episodes, you'll see why. But yeah, he slimmed down for this one. Yeah, Shatner is 92. He went to space.
Mm-hmm.
Follow him on Twitter. I'm telling you, William Shatner is hilarious. So we are 58 minutes and 19 seconds into the movie Star Trek the Motion Picture, the director's cut. This is so beautiful. Oh my gosh. So here's the anomaly.
It's enormous.
It's beautiful. I'm thinking. You get that look on his face.
Mm-hmm. He's figured this stuff out. You don't want to know. Well, actually, they have to know, but you don't want to know.
Mm-hmm. Puzzlement. Really? Through who? Contacted. Got a little check off.
This is a little heartbreaking.
Are you about to lose power when this hits you?
There's going to be a lot of no comment.
Yeah, usually puts plasma cannon. Yep. Yeah. Dang, y'all didn't have to do that to check off. Bill was obsessed with being fit for this movie. He damn near died running in Los Angeles. Wow. And there's Major Barrett. Scotty, help us. Yeah, that's it. Damn it, Scotty. Damage report. Oh, she's a healer? I forgot about that part. Get you some Bactine spray, you'll be all right. Dang. The power of sexy time.
Hell yeah. He felt it all over.
Hmm. So Mark Daly says yes, between TV and film, Earth Chapel went from nurse to MD. And you knew it before Scotty even said it. What did we say? In other words, it didn't like being ignored. Hmm. No wonder Spock is like, hey. They received our sexy time message. I'm still gonna keep thinking of that from now on.
He's actually his decisions are being influenced by the fact that that woman's there, and he doesn't want anything to happen to her. Because I think if she wasn't on board, he'd be like, "Yeah, let's go in."
Let's nuke this thing from orbit. But yeah, I would have to agree with you on that. Because it's a very human thing, even though, they're supposed to be professional and officers and all of that. But I guess sometimes you don't realize, you could run into your ex-girlfriend on your next assignment. That's
Those
a very real scenario.
it's that academy, that Starfleet Academy.
Hmm. Right again. Kirk calls Decker out on that very thing later in the film. Oh, good one. Project confusing. Convince bad 70s effects. I'm convinced people were on acid trips when they came up with some of this stuff.
It looks a lot like what we saw in the Andromeda Strain, where it was like they're looking under the microscope and they're like, "Show it on screen," and it's literally just like somebody blowing bubbles in water, but it looks very scary.
It's like, what is this here? I don't know.
Just keep blowing and do it. It looks
Yeah, it looks good. Looks good. Keep doing it.
A kaleidoscope, good. Yeah, let's just run with it.
Hmm. It's like it's better than what we had on the original series. Yep, that's true.
Mhm.
Mm. Wow, this is like insane. Thank you so much. You're so generous tonight. We are all Devo. Another $20
Wow.
super chat. Thank you. Says, damn, I love this thing. Wait, we're waiting. Wow. Horace, like, I have never seen anything like this, and I've seen some ish, but nothing like this. It's like, what is it? Yeah, you're jammed. Oh, goodness. Thank you so much. We are all Devo for that $20 super chat. So generous. Thank you. Thank you. Says, damn, I love this thing. I love this scene too. Oh my gosh. How it takes its time and then reveals it. So cool. When I was younger, it put me to sleep, but since I've been able to watch the show and watch the movies, gives you a new appreciation for the reveals here. Yeah, 500 meters. See if it's going to follow you. So, not approaching it dead on, just kind of, you're going to do a flyby. That's what you're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
This effect like reminds me of Alien
Mm-hmm.
when they're, walking around and everything. This is so Star Trek, original series, Shades of the Doomsday Machine. I haven't seen that episode in a long time. My favorite episode, by the way. I need to go back and watch that series like all over again. Except
Yeah,
for the one about brain and brain. What is brain? I can't watch that one. This thing is huge. Unexpected Fire says this isn't my absolute favorite Star Trek film. However, I want to go live in this particular iteration of the Star Trek universe more than any other for some reason.
hmm.
We're going to go live in this particular iteration. It's so. I don't know. I don't know. It's just something about, I think it's just a retro feel.
I think there is a retro feel. And I wonder, like prior to us having smartphones and technology where we use it all the time, how different these movies resonated to us. Now that we've passed 2009 and we have
Hmm.
technology at our fingertips, it's a very different expectation for science fiction.
Absolutely. I mean, the stuff that we do, like with our iPhones, it's like that was, tricorder technology where you get audio, video transmission, all of that. No one would have thought about that. Just so we've seen it, just on Star Trek. Michelle Nichols fought for her to have the afro in the movie. I'm glad she did.
She looks so good in this.
Oh, she looks awesome. I love it. That's again that 70s style in a bottle, having like the uh afro beehives, that 70s Farrah Fawcett hair,
Mm-hmm.
all that stuff. Oh Lord. Yeah, yeah, it was. Just all the time that this is taking while they're like, kind of checking out what the alien is. Looks like a big, gigantic starfish. Oh, that's not good.
Mm-mm.
Hull breach.
Mm-hmm. It definitely looks like plasma.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you know what happened last time for Chekhov?
Yeah, he's like, I'm not touching that.
Mm-mm. You're being scanned. Oh, you gonna have Decker touch it?
You don't make him go and do that. Don't make him do that, man. Just let it do it what it's doing.
Let it go.
Yeah, get out of here, kiddo. And it
I
does
was
look
gonna
like
say if anybody could do that, it would be Spock, but don't interfere with my probe here. This is such cheesy effects. I love it. She gone, y'all. Uh-oh, that's not good. Well, damn. Exactly. Of all people, why did they take her?
I think it's because she is has psychic abilities, but you know, that's my
Hmm.
theory.
Oh yeah, I agree with you.
Because she may have, we don't know, she may have been communicating with that with it at that
And with
moment. We can't know.
right, and with her being telepathic, it's just like she can sense that. Like Spock could sense it, but he couldn't really translate it. But in her case, she could translate it at the same time.
Mhm.
Here we go, deeper and deeper into the alien cloud.
Mhm.
even saw that. Just like, did you hear what this dude just say? What I think he said? Oh, folks, we are at 1 hour 18, well, 1 hour 19 minutes and 3 seconds watching Star Trek, the motion picture, the director's edition. That looks so cool.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see Kirk's like, this is a new situation for me. Mm-hmm. Curiosity.
Oh my gosh. Wow. We're glad to hear that.
We are all Devo says this is the best watch party I have ever been in. Oh, well, thank you so much for that compliment.
Wow.
Wow, we're flattered.
Mhm.
Thank you. Yeah, we like to have a good time with our watch parties. We talk a lot. We like to interact with you guys in the chat a lot. You drop us facts about stuff that's going on in the film that we've never heard of. So it's just great. So I'm glad you enjoy our watch party. Thank you. Thank you so much. Resistance would be futile, he says. Yeah, I hadn't heard that before. So I'm like, oh, that was said way back then. And thank you, Mark Daly, so much. He's like, Devo, I second that emotion. Well, thank
Aw.
you. You guys are the best. We're like, how big is this alien creature thing? An unexpected fire says, me three. Well, thank you. The non director's cut is tracking pretty well. Oh, okay. That's good to know.
We appreciate the kind words.
That's 100%. Absolutely. You can't scan me. Mhm. Guess what?
What?
Every time Spot gets quiet, I get nervous. Oh, Sonic shower.
In the shower.
The Sonic shower.
I think we know what that means.
Yeah. I love what they did with her voice. Dang, this is 70s. Check it out. Pop collar. Feature. This is a film I can't watch with too many other people. It is the motionless picture after all. how do they take a shower in a sonic shower anyway? It just uses, quote unquote sound waves to get rid of get rid of dirt. Sounds kind of weird. This is just fiction. I have taken an air shower when I used to work in a space program to blast like all the particles, microscopic particles off of you before you would go into like the space shuttle area. So I've been in the air shower. That was kind of weird. Find the creator. It's like, what?
I'm
Lady, are
sorry.
you drunk?
We Are All Divas making me laugh.
To join with the creator. Is this like the gatekeeper and the keymaster?
I
That
am.
was kind of freaky. John Edgar says, "Hi, ladies. Just got off work. Sorry I'm late. Lorena, you have such great taste in movies. Not enough people appreciate this film." Well, thank you. And you know what? I really didn't appreciate it that much either when it first came out. It just wasn't to my liking. I preferred Star Trek to The Wrath of Khan, but the more I saw like the original series episodes, eventually I started to have more of an appreciation for it. It's like one of those things that didn't quite make sense back then, but going back and watching, the stuff you appreciate. At least she's
Absolutely.
sexy clean. She's sexy sided clean. Wow. And darn it, my DVD player's on the fritz, so I can't watch it with you. He's like, dang, she looked hotter than I remember. Hey, boy. Yeah.
Mm. Hmm. She remembers.
Yeah. We Are All Devo says, I bought this on Amazon so I could watch this. Oh, very good. This is a movie that's definitely it's so worth having. I appreciate this film so much. I probably saw it 50 times in the theater.
Wow.
Mm, yep, precisely. Maybe this is just me, but I think V'ger kind of sexied her up a bit more.
Yes.
Okay, all right, it wasn't just me. Okay. I was like, "Dang."
Well, in this state, she has no reason for her to like hold back.
Mhm.
So maybe this might even be a watered down version if she didn't hold back. Maybe she'd be even more enticing, but as she is, because
'Cause
that's a sexy outfit.
she was looking at him like and her skin's all nice,
Hmm.
and she's got on gorgeous lipstick.
I'd be like, screw that. I want the captain.
Mhm. I almost wanna say in this form, she is like the original fembot
Yeah.
from Austin Powers.
Mhm.
Where they're all seductive, the outfits.
I'd be like, I gotta need be with the captain. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I must be with the captain.
Yeah.
I was it. I must be with the captain unit or whatever.
Captain Unit. Oh Lord, I was about to say something really naughty. Mark Daly says VHS, DVD, Blu-ray. I bought all Trek for all formats. Yeah, I have a couple of VHS, a lot of DVDs. No digital, but I do want the 4K. Carbon Unit game. Hmm.
She's like, I'm too sexy for this. Can't you see what I'm wearing?
Da- da- da-
You want to play
The
a
Ilea,
game?
the Ilea probe celibacy oath is not on the record. Boom.
Exactly. Exactly.
Now, if we could pick that up.
Come on.
Thank you so much, John Edgar, for that super
Yes.
sticker with the Chiba Inu dog pointing up saying number one. Thank you. Thank you so much. You guys, super chats. You guys help me keep this channel running with, equipment, StreamYard bill paid, all that great stuff. You guys are so good to me. Thank you.
And,
Thank you.
and the captain is kind of watching this like, what the hell's going to happen between the two of them now? Like,
Mhm.
what have we done?
He's like, now,
Bones is like, I think you know what you've done.
yeah, yeah. It's like, come on now. You were knocking boots with that green chick. That's just one example. Do I need to call back the record for you? That was my favorite one, though.
Mm-hmm. The older men are watching the young man and they will advise him on what to do.
Yeah.
So good. It's so good.
Data storage. They're going to turn y'all into hard drives. That's what they're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm going to bring them back all right.
This is how we communicate. He actually was communicating with her like that before, so there is some truth to it. But
That's just true. Proud to be a carbon unit of Rio All Devo. Yes, we are proud to be a carbon. Man, you gotta love that Vulcan nerve pinch thing going on.
I wonder what it feels like.
I don't know if it's just like a pinch nerve and it just like short circuits you or something like that.
I could see myself not being able to sleep and like I can't fall asleep. It's awful, and then just like shh, and you're just like the most restful sleep you've had in weeks.
Mark Daly says, like Iman in Star Trek 6, I thought I'd assume a pleasing shape. I guess you. She was so cool in that. Remember?
Do you remember? Do you remember when we? Do you remember when we? It's like
you remember that, right?
Yeah, she remembers,
right?
Mm-hmm.
We had that lava lamp going. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. She remembers now.
But it looks like her. And it smells like her.
Say what? I was like, excuse me, what? This is
like, huh? He doesn't know what he's looking for. I love that like red jewel on her neck. It's so simple, but it's just such a cool effect. I love it. Let's see. Wes says giving everyone ulterior motives is one of the things that makes this movie interesting. Spock, Colinar, Kirk Command Decker Ilea.
And I would add Ilea Decker to that list because she came on there thinking about him. She had him on her mind.
Mhm. Absolutely. Absolutely.
I love it. I love hearing him talk. If we open up the orifice, then we can go. It's like, it's like, okay, yeah, yes.
Folks, we have 1 hour, 34 minutes, and 14 seconds watching Star Trek, the motion picture from 1979. We are watching the director's edition and having a great time watching the movie. Folks in the chat, you guys have been dropping trivia and great commentary, and we're just having a great time.
Mhm. He sure has. Yeah. Unexpected fire, Spock, you crazy kid, you. Yeah. He always wants to be the first one in. I have no comment on J.J. Abrams' version of Star Trek except for the fact that I like the casting. And whatever cast, poor Bones, no ulterior motive, just drafted. I do like how they made her gigantic in this part, or at least she appears to be. She is. She will be right back, Jerry Mendoza. Lorena will be right back. I kind of like this little montage. Um, and it just pushes him back all the way to the beginning. But I said, Spock always has to be the first one in. He can't wait for the others. I can't hear you. Is your microphone on, Lorraine?
Egg on it.
Okay.
There we
Yeah,
go. Can you hear me right?
he always has to be the first one in, like he's like, I'm going to get in there first. All of a sudden Spock is on the ship, or, like, where's Spock? He's
It's
He's in
only
a spacesuit.
logical that I investigate. It's like, okay, you fall on that grenade, dude. Spot got to see a whole lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, fascinating, fascinating. Bones. Poor Bones. No ulterior motive. He was just drafted. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Spock, you crazy kid who. Kirk acts like a scallywag for the first half of the movie. Yeah, yeah. He was kind of a douche the first part of the movie. I just had to take a brief break, but I'm back. J.J. Abrams' version of Star Trek. I liked the first movie. I was actually pretty cool with the first movie. After that, I kind of like lost interest. Ooh, that opens up a whole lot of questions.
So it's not possible to see everything that V'ger would know because it's so much information.
Mm-hmm. No beauty.
It would take several lifetimes to cover what V'ger may have
Mm-hmm.
discovered.
And he is just like, I am confounded by this. I knowing how this movie ends, it's like, so that's why all of this is happening. Simple feeling. So it's almost like it's confused about what it doesn't understand. He's like, this is the weirdest thing we've ever come across. And we've seen some weird stuff. Faint.
Absolutely, whatever cast. Definitely 2001.
Yes. And that's what we're watching next Saturday. That's a movie where I think I saw it one time because my parents have brought it home and I haven't seen it since, but know all the pop culture references. John Edgar says, I can barely remember the McDonald's Star Trek the motion picture Happy Meals that came out when this movie was released. I was about 10. Oh, that must have been some cool, crazy toys in the Happy Meals. That was probably when they were still frying their fries in lard and they tasted good. Woohoo. Yes, we are watching 2001 Space Odyssey next Saturday. I'm excited. I'm sorry, I can't do that. Binary radio. Y'all remember what that was? Mm-hmm. Hey, Tom Jr. Jackson. Good seeing you, my dear.
Hey, Tom.
Good
We are
seeing
all
you.
people, Tom.
All good people. I think Star Trek the Motion Picture was written by AI. V just said, I had it with you people. You need to give me what I need. Oh, that's not good. Not good at all. There was no Star Trek after the Enterprise series, just like there are only 6 Star Wars films and 3 Indiana Jones movies. Um, I will say the only exception that I will say to that, because I agree with you, would be season 3 of Picard, and that's just me. That's my guilty pleasure. But
Me too.
only season 3.
I love season 3. And Tom Jr. Jackson, thank you so much for your kind
Yes, thank
words.
you. Can't stay long about to hop on a stream about Raiders of the Lost Ark, but I just wanted to say hello to the 2 best hosts on
Oh,
YouTube. Well, thank
thank
you
you
so
so
much, my
much,
dear.
Tom.
Thank you. So kind. I appreciate that.
Mhm.
What? A machine. Hmm.
He's like, she doesn't look like a machine, right? She doesn't look like a machine
Looks
to
hot.
me.
Shoot.
More machines like this.
Mm-hmm. Confab. Shut up. And McCoy comes up with the line. What just we do? Spank it? Well, I can't get over Picard and Beverly having a lunch on their 70s. It
Might as
was pretty
well.
crazy.
What Al Pacino just had one, right?
That's true. That's true. And all the Picard crusher shippers lost their collective crap when that happened. They're like, oh my God, they read our fanfic.
It's about time. Goodness gracious.
Oh. But yeah, I really did like that argument because it was, it was valid from Picard. He had every reason to be incensed with her. Disclose the information. Had Star Trek pajamas, ironic given the state of the uniform in this movie.
Aww.
Star
Aww.
Trek pajamas.
You know he loved his PJs.
But Laris, hmm, yeah, tantrum, Mr. Spock. We're at 1 hour, 47 minutes, and 37 seconds. V'ger is requiring the information.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
See, Kirk know how to play this game.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, now your voice changed
Mm.
because we don't know you danger my crew. We will not negotiation with terrorists.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. It's an AI, y'all.
Mhm.
Have Beecher give a nugget of information. Then I would take you to Beecher.
That was pretty good.
As a rule, negotiate with everybody unless in doing so reveals a weakness. That's true. Or as oh my gosh, Patrick Swayze said in Roadhouse, be nice until it's time not to be nice. Every time I see Chekhov, I'm thinking, we are searching for nuclear whistles. I love Chekhov. Even though he does kind of like channel the Beatles with that look going on. Now, is Scotty being misogynistic by calling her lass? You know somebody's gonna try to point that out. It's like, just roll with it. Just roll with it. I like that he does that. Dang. Look how big this thing is. Kirk was the skirt chaser, but not when the Crip and the ship and crew were on the line. Yeah, yeah. There was a time for him to get his Mac on and a time not to, and he knew the difference between the two. Hey, Peter Venkman fan site says Kirk had genuine affection, though. Yes, he did. He did. He truly did care about his crew, which is why that scene in Star Trek Two, Wrath of Khan. Oh my gosh! Oh, that's all I'm going to say. I'm gonna save it for the watch party. I'm gonna have to bring tissues. Hmm. Vijay is there. Signal. Planet Killer says, "You guys better hope RMB doesn't find out about this stream. He's going to be upset you watch this without him." RMB is watching now. That might be something we may have to have him do in the future over on the Burr Network. Have a watch party with like the three of us.
I would love that.
That would be cool. You're welcome. For those people who have not watched the movie, I was purposely being a little vague. Kirk was more flirty than man horse, like he was in JJ track. Kirk liked the subtext and conversation. Yes. Kirk was more suave, about it.
Mhm.
I didn't really watch too much JJ track, so I was like, I can't really say. So I will trust your judgment, Wes, because you know more about JJ Trek than I do, because I refuse to watch Star Trek Discovery. Ew. It's so weird that they're outside of the ship, no no spacesuits. They're inside this alien vessel. It's very weird.
Well, it created that oxygen atmosphere so they could walk around.
Mhm.
I thought that was very considerate.
Yes, very much so, because they
Thank
know the carbon units must have a certain type of support. That's why it's just like it's weird. They're just walking out of the ship. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, Beeger requires the information.
And this is, of course, is the revelation point. Um,
Yes.
that
This
if you are a nerd, everybody recognizes what this
every yes, this is your standard issue satellite.
and I think anybody who's not a nerd may not know what it is, but if you are a nerd, you definitely
Yes, the
yeah.
transmission dish. I've
Yeah.
seen many satellites get put into the cargo bay of the space shuttle. You'll see it in all the museums. You can actually see it at the space center. Some of the replicas that they have going on. You know exactly what that is,
Hmm.
and it's the old school one. It's not like the nice cool compact,
No.
you know looking ones. This is the equivalent of I would say like a Cadillac in space.
Yeah.
A land yacht 1970s type of satellite
Hmm.
going on. Voyager Voyager 2 was launched first in 1977, and then Voyager 1 launched a little bit after that. Two twin satellites. Their purpose: deep space exploration and to transmit information back. So there's a plate on it that has all this information about the solar system. And because of the carbon scoring, because it has to go through a whole bunch of atmospheres and stuff, it was Voyager, but Voyager satellite. Its job is to transmit information, get acknowledgement back from NASA, and ask what's the next instruction. And I don't think that we have heard I think it's been like about 10 years because it passed Pluto. I forget how long ago that it did.
Yeah.
And it takes so long to get a message back, but it is still transmitting. I think NASA has a page for it too. Hey, Captain Robert, April. Yes, we are still on. Almost finished. I think it's maybe got like 10 minutes left, I think.
About that. Yeah,
Yeah,
16.
about that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thank you.
It is 10 minutes, and then of course the credits is 5. So yes.
Mm-hmm. So now here's the big reveal as to who Voyager is. Voyager is Voyager. Voyager is looking for the creator. Of course, and created it.
And what's funny about this is that you automatically know what this is, but the fact that they used the word Voyager, Lorena, that they chose, they could have used anything. They could have, they could have created any word they wanted, but they decided to use Voyagers, is that we would recognize that. We all would recognize that, I think was very funny. And
Absolutely.
I wonder what the decision, why they made that decision for the name.
I think because since this movie was made not too long after that satellite was launched, I guess in a way it was kind of hopeful to say, what kind of information, because this satellite was launched to be, a deep space probe satellite to send us all kinds of information, pictures that we didn't have before, that we never had, before. So it's like, what if, I guess, postulating what would happen to a satellite when it's done all that it can do.
Raider 3, thank you so much.
Oh my gosh, Raider just has been blessing me on my streams. First it was on my Disney Dreamlight Valley stream, and now this stream. That is so extremely generous of you. Thank you so very much.
Wow.
So very much. I see the smiley face there. Thank you. Thank you. You guys, I'm telling you, you guys are such a blessing to me. Thank you. You're a blessing to me, whether you're in the chat doing messages or dropping super chats. But, $50.
Wow.
That is not a small amount of change, and I appreciate it. Radder 3. Thank you so very much, my dear. Thank you. Thank you. And yes, Voyager was in the news at the time. And yes, we are watching the director's edition, Captain Robert April. But yeah, to go back to answer your question, I think people were just theorizing what could happen. You send this satellite out into deep space. What's the end game? And for them, it was just Voyager runs out of information. But in reality, it's been out there so long and transmitting information. I guess it was kind of like because it's a hopeful thing at the end that Star Trek is known for. So I think that's probably why. And yes, in the news, but at the same time, the what if,
That is interesting, and that is good to know. I didn't realize it. It does make sense, right? That it would be in the news at the time. Of course, I think I was probably about 7 when this.
Yeah, I had no clue. I didn't know about Voyager until I think I started seeing pictures that it sent back of like what was that one? Of like Jupiter and Saturn, because it captured like the red spot on Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and then it passed by Pluto, and then it made the news when it passed Pluto and was officially into deep space. So I was much older by that time. I think I was working at NASA at that time, so that's why it made, so much news, because people were like, well, because I was like, well, what's gonna happen? With this shuttle, and because we were launching new satellites, and when I would ask about the satellites, they were like, well, we got Voyager that's still out there transmitting information, so who knows how long this is gonna be there.
It's funny
Mark,
when I'm sorry, go
oh, go
ahead.
ahead, my dear, go ahead.
When Decker was looking at her, she gave him this look that I personally thought was, she was like, don't leave me here. She gave him this look.
Mm-hmm. Planet Killer says Voyager probes are still going. Yes, and there's a web page,
Mm-hmm.
NASA, to track it, being the first man-made things to leave the solar system. Whoever came up with the story were visionaries, whether upgraded by aliens or becoming sentient is a cool idea. Very much so. That's the thing that blew my mind about this movie, because when it first came out, it was like a theory of what the Voyager satellite was going to do. But dude, like our generation, we're like, yeah, that thing's still kicking around and sending stuff, back. Wow. I was in high school at the time. In fact, my dad pulled me out of geometry class so we could go see the movie. Interesting, Captain Robert April.
Wow.
Interesting. Very convenient way to get rid of the two new characters. This is true.
This part that happens reminds me of what they kind of did, something like this in The Expanse, where one character was taken and then another character joined her, because he was in love with this character, so he decided to stay with this woman that he loved, even though she was infected. And it's actually a parasite. It wasn't as cool as this V'ger thing, but
Mm-hmm.
he stayed with her, knowing what was going to happen to him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you got to stay there. Only Bay is allowed to touch V'ger. I get to be one with my girl. And yes, Captain Robert April, that's what I was just saying earlier. We are still getting data from both of the Voyager satellites. That's why, especially science and engineering nerds like we are, we're so fascinated, because we're like, this thing is still kicking.
It can happen, right?
It's still kicking. And I can't remember what movie it was where they actually used the Voyager satellite. Like you could kind of see, like from its standpoint, um, where it was transmitting information like back to Earth. So it was like literally the further you left Earth, or is it that the closer you got to Earth, you could like go, it went like by decades, so you could tell the age of the radio signal. So
I'm
V'ger
sorry,
was just, oh, sorry, go ahead.
this does not look comfortable, what they have to do, like what's happening. Like we know what it is, but it doesn't look comfortable to me.
Nah. They are interstellar now. Yeah, the satellites, yeah. I just thought that this effect was so cool.
It is.
It's beautiful.
And whatever Cass is saying is talking about The Expanse, and um
Oh, really? How would that work?
You just have to like have a cord tied to your partner so you don't kind of
I
float
I
away.
guess so. I'm just like, how's the physics of that? Not saying it's impossible. I'm just saying I'm running the calculations in my head.
This is somewhat cannibalistic.
Which one?
This is cannibalistic because it was two life forms that it consumed.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not that they had a choice, but it was kind of like one was taken against their will, and the second
Wow.
one willingly went. And it's kind of
It was very well done.
it was.
Well, I'll
Expanse
take your
was
word for it.
amazing, but yeah.
Wow. Captain Robert April says they pulled in every big light in Hollywood for that transformation scene. The wind machine was as much to keep the actors from catching fire as
Wow.
it was for effect. Really
Wow.
interesting. Yes, reordered into a new DNA sequence or evolution. Hmm. Yes. Oh my gosh, she looks so gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
Did she go MIA?
Missing in action.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it's like they're not dead. They just that's actually technically true. They are missing. Thomas Ferthold, he said, beam me up, Scotty. That's what I say when I'm playing Dreamlight Valley and I have to go through like the wishing wells. I'm like, transporter, beam me up, Scotty, because you disappear. It's like the same effect. Yeah, it is kind of interesting how they didn't go back to that. I would like to have known.
We're sure
I
it's
want
never been revisited in the books or anything like that, maybe?
that's a good question 'cause I think I only read the DS9 books, so I didn't read any of the original series books. So maybe someone out there knows.
Yes.
Darth Plato says, "Where would the Beecher story go?" I don't know. Not a writer. Maybe eventually seeing that life form. And I love it. It says the human adventure is just beginning.
Mm-hmm.
What a great ending to that. Wow. So amazing. Such a great film. One of those that I did not give enough credit to, um, when I first saw it, but man, now it's just a joy to go back and watch this movie. Captain Robert April says Nimoy had a great ad lib. I wish they'd kept. If Dr. McCoy is to remain aboard, then my presence here is essential.
Yes.
Interesting. I love those two. The way that they would just bounce off
Smack
of
jaw.
each other. It was great.
Yeah.
That's one of the best things about the original series when you watch just all three of those characters just bounce off each other. And let's see. Planet Killer says R&B tells us Star Trek does not take place in our timeline, but rather in the For All Mankind timeline. Okay, don't know what that one is. But Voyager being here tells me it's in our timeline without a eugenics war, of course.
So for all mankind, I believe, is a television series where if the space race continued, and there's a little bit more to it than just the space race continuing, we would be on Mars now, you know, and if things
Okay.
had continued every season, they conquer a new. I think maybe one was the moon, and then they go to Mars. I think they're on Mars now. But what would have happened? It might even be if the Russians had won the space race first, or but it's a television series that's spectacular, and it continues. To be honest with you, most likely way that we would get to the point where in I guess in 2300, you know,
Mm-hmm.
this would be happening, that interstellar space travel would be the norm,
Ah.
and
Mm-hmm.
you know, and all those things, you know, society has changed and is now
Mm-hmm.
evolved also, which has not happened, but let's say it will happen, and then it would be like this Star Trek situation. I think that's what that means.
Hmm.
um so yeah, it's not easy for us in our timeline to imagine that this is happening, although I still think that the Voyager thing could happen, because but we won't know for another couple hundred years maybe.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
so I was right. Captain Robert out April says yes, the Soviets reached the moon first, so they are the ones who are driving it, and then of course things change because they keep going with it. And
That is 100% true. As somebody who studied the space program since I was a kid, and then I had the fortune of working at NASA, yeah, the Soviets didn't. They didn't have the technology to do it. I mean, for a while they were outstripping us until you know Kennedy basically said, "Here's a blank check. You need to get us, to the moon first." And the Russians unfortunately had a really, really bad and unfortunate accident for reasons I don't remember hearing completely about, but that put them behind the eight ball, and we basically reached the moon first with a lot of technology, a crap ton of smart people. So I got to give I got to give them props, because every time I would go out to NASA and I would see some of the technology that they were working with, I'm like, this thing still works. It was like, yeah,
mhm.
stuff that we had to do, especially Apollo 13. Go and watch that one.
I
Engineers are darn heroes. Failure is not an option.
I think I think they decided to do that because of how our space program has kind of, you know, not progressed more than I think that our space program should have been much farther
Hmm.
along now. You know, of course, I wasn't happy when the shuttle missions, you know, you and I have discussed this, was not happy when the shuttle missions were ending. Like I thought that was the biggest mistake ever. I thought that was the one biggest mistake of the government, was to shut that down. But
Oh yeah.
it happened, you know, like this was, none of us had control over that, let's say, as individuals. But from a purely scientific point of view, I'm like, this is the beginning of the end
Hmm.
for that sense of imagination and wonder. So the idea that this person who wrote this decided to use the Soviet as continuing on was just pure speculation, because you couldn't speculate about us doing it now because our thing had shut down. But I don't know whether that's true. I'm just, you know, saying I imagine maybe that's why they chose to go in that route.
Um, I want to say that it was because I'm trying to remember this correctly, because I remember that when they're like basically we're shutting down the shuttle program. It's like you what? They were shutting it down. They were going to depend on the Soviets to get us to the International Space Station. It's just like,
Mhm,
wait, so you're going to depend on Russia to
mhm,
send our astronauts into space? What kind of asinine sense does that make? And it took a lot of the wind out of the sails, especially even for people like me. It was like, what all we wanted to do was work for the space program. Nothing was impossible. Even with the setbacks, still nothing was impossible. technology. It was just booming, all of the payoffs that we
Mhm.
got. Some universities, they were just like, yeah, we have an experiment that's going up on the space shuttle. Like I would see some of those containers that they would put in the launch bay. They would have like the name of the college or the high school, and it would go in there and they'd take it up and they'd launch their experiments or whatever, and they bring them back. And that was just like a source of pride. But to go and do that really took the wind out. So that's why I'm glad, SpaceX, took that part over. But the space program had so much innovation going on, so many technological payoffs that we've gotten from that, and it was just sorely heartbreaking. When they just let it go like that. But yeah, Planet Killer, I will have to check that out. Is that on Apple
Yeah, I believe it is on
Apple
Apple
Plus?
TV. Yeah, or
Okay.
Plus or whatever.
Okay, app no, there's so many darn pluses and everything
It's
going on.
in its fourth season, I think.
Oh Lord.
You'll
Maybe
like it, Lorena. You'll like
I'll
it.
have to, yeah, I'll have to check it out. I'm just like, I gotta make some time to to go and watch it. And John Edgar says, thanks, ladies. This was fun hanging out even when I couldn't watch along with you. The human venture is just beginning. Yes, yes, indeed. And John Edgar, thank you so very much for being with us. So appreciate having you here. And Unexpected Fire said, thanks for the watch party. It was fun to watch this with fellow fans. Yeah, thank you. It kind of brings back memories of like when I was in college and the time that I did have. As engineers, we didn't have that much free time. But movie night, Star Trek movie night, I remember being in like a room with like 100 other just like Star Trek fans. And it was just, the best best time. So I kind of try to recreate that atmosphere, when we're here. Let's see. Darth Plato says the closer to 1980 you get, the more Soviets were falling behind in everything. Yeah, yeah, because they were being outspent. Their scientists defecting, over here, to the United States. It was something else. Space program ought to be free market, and actually, that is something that I agree with because one of the things that I learned when I actually started working in the space program, where they're like, well, we got this piece that comes from all the way here, this piece that comes from all the way there. It's like, why are you shipping a fuel tank all the way from New Orleans by barge to Florida? Can't you manufacture that fuel tank in Florida? Well, because it's a government program, they want to spread the money around. So that's why they give it to this contractor in this state, this contractor in that state. I'm like, that is so darn inefficient. But that was the explanation that I was given. And I was just like, well, how come you can't have a free market solution? And now we have SpaceX. Just saying. SpaceX and Bezos is a space program, everything too. Whatever cast, also known as Wes, says I saw the Challenger launch in elementary school. One of our teachers had been a finalist and was complaining about not being picked. Then it blew up, and she said, I'm so glad I wasn't
Oh my
on
God,
that.
what a story.
Wow. One of the things, first of all, yeah, I'm glad your teacher wasn't on that too. And I remember when hearing about the Challenger explosion, I'm just like, man, we're never going to work for the space program. It's over. But they brought it back, and when I got to work there, um, one of the questions that I asked, because I did like a whole research paper on it. I said, well, what caused the shuttle explosion? And they were just like, yeah, faulty rocket design. Water got in between the O-rings. Water is the only liquid that expands when temperatures drop, and it cracked open between the two instead of like, well, it's three now before it shut down, but two cracked it open, so it was leaking fuel. So when the shuttle took off, it ignited that fuel, and then it's like you saw that explosion, and the whole like crew, they drowned. unfortunately. That's like what happened. I'm like, really? How did you know that? They said, yeah, they said by the position of their helmet. So that is why there was all these additional changes made in order to make the astronauts safer. Like they had, extra breathing equipment. They had, extra protection, on. That's why when later launches, you see like the astronauts had much thicker, outfits that were on and better protective gear. So yeah, it was such an awful tragedy. But one of the things that I learned with talking with the engineers that were there were just all of the extra safety measures that happened because of it. It's kind of like what happened with Apollo, was it Apollo 10? Was it Apollo 9? The one that blew up on the launch pad. That was awful, but they learned from that. So it's one of those things. With the release of the high def version of the director's edition, we saw the end of the longest test screening in motion picture history. Wow. Wow. And yes, that's exactly what they were talking about. Because they're like, "Do you wanna know?" I said, "Yes, I want to know," because that was the one of the things that I wanted to know. It was just like that was the first, I guess, space program accident that I'd witnessed in my lifetime. I'd never heard about it. And then, Columbia, what happened with Columbia? Oh my gosh. That was that was insane. That was also kind of personal because I'd been I'm like rambling here, but I'd actually been in and around the shuttle Columbia a lot. It was the oldest orbiter that they had. So that was sad not having that one come back. Apollo 1 blew up on the launch pad. Okay, I knew it was 1. Hey, Sakura at 3:15 says, "Howdy, Lorena and the chat." And Mark Daly says, "This was a blast. Can't wait for the next one." God! Oh gosh, I cannot wait for this. So, my dear, this your overall impressions of the film. I know you loved it. But just your last thoughts about the film.
Yeah, I think that the film is definitely, that 1970s feel, and they can't help it. It's that whole aesthetic and approach to science fiction at that time, or maybe more of a focus on science fiction than anything else, than a lot of, let's say films going forward in the 80s, less focus on science fiction, more focus on special effects, maybe, or technical issues. But they just wanted this to be pure science fiction, I think.
Mhm.
And I think they accomplished it. It was a lot of time for you to think about what was going to be discovered and trying to understand what it was going to mean for, like I said, for the first person that was taken
Right.
and the second person who volunteered to go on to this. It was a little scary when you think about it, that V'ger had that much power. And so it
Mhm.
wasn't what it used to be. It's now another entity that could have just pretty much destroyed anything and everything. So, there had to be some kind of negotiations in it, and that's exactly what happened. But I wouldn't want to be the person who was taken first. So that's my last comment. I don't feel
No.
like I don't like that kind of discovery, but that's what happened in this film, and they dealt with it, and they went on. But yeah, it's I don't know, if I were on that crew, I wouldn't want to be the one who was taken.
Hell no. I don't know what that thing's gonna do to me. That's me, whatever. It is quite, quite scary, especially having one of the crew being taken like that and it's basically possessed and shows up naked in a sonic shower, later on. What the heck is, what's going on with this? But this film, I really appreciated much more than I did when I first saw it. Because when I first saw it, I didn't have that much knowledge, about Star Trek really, and over the years of accumulating that knowledge and watching the different incarnations of the shows, it's nice to go back to something like this that isn't rushed, and you get the idea of just what Star Trek is. You're making contact with alien life forms. In this case, it wasn't quite an alien, but it turned into one in a way from all the knowledge that Voyager had accumulated, and, all of that, how to defend itself if it didn't get response back, how to code information, all of that, and the hopeful note, which is unfortunately something that I not something I think, something I know, with the exception of Picard season 3. People if she's that, but I love it. Just the hopefulness that Star Trek had. I mean, it had its tense moments, it had, stuff that happened, but there was always that nugget of hope that was in there. And that's why so many people were attracted to it. I mean, Star Trek came out initially when there was so much turmoil going on in the 60s. And this is what uh, came out of that. And this film is just it's just a joy to watch, just gradual storytelling to basically show you why the science fiction movie became, TV show became such a sensation that they had to reboot it into a movie, and the rest is history.
Yeah, exactly. And the other movie that I would say that it kind of also reminds me of, and I did mention the Andromeda Strain,
Hmm.
because of that 1970s feel of science fiction. The other one that it also reminds me of is a movie called The Black Hole.
I remember that with Bob the Robot.
So, that certain sense of urgency, something's happening and it feels
Yes.
very abstract. We can't see it, but we have to imagine it from a science fiction point of view. We're in space, we know black holes exist, but, you know, maybe you can't actually see the black hole, or, but it has this power that's
Hmm.
stronger, like it's going to be stronger than anything, and it can suck you in. And then once it sucks you in, you can't ever come out of that hole. The concept of something having that level of power over you.
Hmm.
I think it kind of feels like that maybe in this film, except for in this film, you can actually talk to, the
Hmm.
threat, so to speak, the threat, if you will. Oh, you loved
That was a trippy movie. I'll tell you that much. I enjoyed. I did enjoy watching that.
yeah. So
I really did. Oh my gosh. Thank you guys so much for being here. It's just been an absolute joy going back and watching this film. Love doing these watch parties with these sci-fi films that are so beloved. Some of them I've seen, some of them I haven't seen in like years. But it's just great to just like talk to you guys and get this trivia and all this information and just relive these movies and scenes along with fellow nerds, which is why we do this watch party. And of course, thank you guys so much for all of your comments, the thumbs up. Thank you so much,
thank
especially
you.
all the super chats from We
Yes.
Are Devo, which hit me up for a total of 40. We
Wow.
got John Edgar, who sent me that amazing $2 super sticker because he knows I love the Shiba Inu dogs. And thank you so much, Raptor, for that
Wow.
$50 super chat. You were just blessing me today. All of y'all are blessing me tonight. I so appreciate that so very much. So please do subscribe to of Positive Fandom and the Burnett Work. What do you have coming up that you would like to let the folks know about?
Well, I do have Sunday brunch tomorrow morning at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, where I do all the parlay in the fandom. Guys, I am live streaming games on my channel every day. I'm doing Star Trek Online, ironically, where I'm playing in the original series, as well as LA Noir, which is a retro game from well over 10 years ago that was made. Having a lot of fun on my channel with that. Lorraine and I are doing live watch parties of Outlander on Fridays at 8 p.m. But Lorraine and I also have our show, Ladies of the PGS, on the Bird Network at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Mondays. We're also on Toxic Male Appreciation on Thursdays at 5 p.m. on Lorraine's Twitch channel with the replay 1 p.m. on Sundays on Lorraine's YouTube channel. And we also have, what else do we have coming up? That might be it for, I think.
I think ladies of the PGS on Monday, and oh yes, and of course Toxic Male Appreciation on Thursday. We're going to be featuring Samuel L. Jackson.
Yes, yes.
We're going to be talking Samuel L. because, as you know, Secret Invasion, that series is going to be popping off on Disney Plus. So definitely going to be featuring him, as he's done some seriously toxic male roles, man.
Absolutely. So guys, please like and subscribe to Positive Fandom, my YouTube channel. And Lorena, I had such a wonderful time tonight sharing this film. It's always fantastic to watch a Star Trek film, and this one certainly, I think, was fantastic film.
Well, thank you so much for being here. Love this film. Cannot wait until we do the watch party for Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan. That is going to be absolutely, absolutely nuts. Folks, as for my schedule, of course, Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern, the video replay of Toxic Male Appreciation. The topic of that one is, are women taking over the Spider-Verse? And this is in light of both of us seeing Across the Spider-Verse. So please do check that video out tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern. At 8 p.m. Eastern, the Welcome to Florida show kicks off on my channel. Special Florida Man edition for Father's Day, and comic book author Mike Barron is going to be our special guest. He's got a new campaign coming out, so you definitely want to come and check that out. And let's see, Monday, 10 a.m. Eastern, I will be broadcasting live from Epcot. Going to be talking about Juneteenth and about my family's history in America. So we're actually going to be talking about that. Having a great time. Of course, Monday, 6 p.m. and I on the Bird Network for Ladies of the PGS. And I'm sure, as usual, we'll have an amazing list of topics for us to discuss.
Yes, we're gonna be, I think the topics has to do with Disney postponing Avatar, $1 billion franchise.
Isn't that insane?
It's nuts, Lorena. I can't even begin to talk. Of course, we're going to talk about it, but it's crazy. It's crazy that that's happening. I can't even imagine. And also, Lorena, I don't know if you'd seen it yet, the Flash reaction.
Yeah, I have not seen it. I'm not in a rush to see it. I'm probably gonna wait till it comes out. I'm probably gonna wait until it comes out on streaming. And yes, thank you so much, Zachara, for dropping positive links. The link to her channel is also in the description box of this video. So please do make sure and you subscribe.
Appreciate some more subscribers, guys.
She's got great Sunday brunch show. She's got gaming that's going on. Eventually, we will be gaming together. We're just trying to figure out what game we're going to play.
Well, there hasn't, Lorena, you remember the days when there used to be multiplayer games, like they were everywhere. And then all of a sudden somebody decides that these games are going to be single player, and it's just so frustrating. I just Hogwarts Legacy should have been multiplayer.
That should have been multiplayer. Oh yeah.
It's insane that we couldn't play that game together. Oh gosh, I wish they'd made some downloadable content to make it so that we could do that. But oh my goodness gracious. So yeah, we're looking for a game to do this. It's just, I can't.
Yeah. But we're working on it. We're working on it, folks, so we can play together. I know you guys have been asking about when are you two going to game together. We're working
Yes,
on it.
we're trying. We're trying so hard. It's driving us crazy.
Oh my gosh. Well, folks, thank you so much again for being here. We surely do appreciate you being here, spending your time hanging out here with us. We know you have a choice in YouTube channels to watch, so we're so glad that you could spend some time with us. So you all stay blessed this evening, and we will see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.